Hello. Safe. Safe. How's it going? Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Glad, Doug. I'm glad. There's a lot of people organizing things right now. Yeah. Work. I was playing catch up, basically. Just a lot of chaos stuff going on with work this week, which is just like, why work? Why? Why this week? That's how it goes. What's funny is that I know a few of you in here know that I was working and also being an unhinged degenerate. Yeah. Yeah, no change really. I was thinking about that sheepishly. I'm like, okay, well, I told them I wasn't going to be streaming because I'm working. But anybody who sees this is going to be like, he's not working. But I'm not a liar. I can do two things at once. I can do three things at once because I was working, listening to political bullshit, and then a some bullshit would build up, and then I would head over to Blue Sky, open the valve, and then return to the work. It's just a perfect cycle. But yeah, nothing much to report today other than that. Just lots of work and doing the usual thing of rubbing my face in all the nightmares. I can never stop. Yeah, I'm essentially a web dev, primarily in the Shopify ecosystem. And I'm at an agency, so I work for various clients. So it's like working on a bunch of different websites at the same time. It can be. Whenever you do stuff, when you do work that is for clients, it's it can be difficult
It would
because
have to come massively.
yeah, Psycho Boy, thank you for 114 months. Um, a lot of it is wrangling clients, you know. Um, they don't exactly adhere to timetables, and there's a lot of the kind of shitty stuff you would expect of like, we absolutely have to go live with, blah blah blah. And they tell you like 3 days out or something. It's like, you guys, did you know about this before today or what? Like, why are you telling us now? We actually have a pretty good pipeline um, for that aspect of it because there's a whole design cycle before it ever gets to a developer. So usually all of that shit is ironed out. We don't have to deal with that part. But pour one out for our designer. And yeah, most of the difficulty on the development side is just time. It's timeline. You know, we get handed things, we have to estimate them, figure out what the scope is, and then try to get it done before the client needs it. I'm Mr. Estimates Everything. That's basically my job. Did we have a post-mortem this week? Yes. I think that it is kind of always a doomed task, but if you're in a sort of like in the situation that I'm in or that we're in, um, I think I'm pretty good at it. But there are always going to be situations like you can never perfect it. There's always situations where um, if there's a lot of unknowns, then you're fucked. No, not at all, Zick. I mean, it depends on the team and the company and so on, right? Like, I'm sure that at some companies, retrospectives are vindictive, and I think that people's assumption is that it would be about assigning blame. Um, but if you don't do that, they're highly productive meetings to have because you can blamelessly go in with everybody and just, okay, what went wrong? What do we have? Are there any changes we can make to our processes to mitigate this sort of thing in the future? So it's a good. I'm with you. I think they're good meetings. That doesn't mean that I don't still feel bad when something goes wrong. But if you can talk about it and learn from it, then that's the ideal, right? That's the ideal. That's what you want. I feel like you've made something like that before, Zick. Sorry. But yeah, they're a good thing. Um, but yeah, for the most part, I have a pretty good handle on estimating the types of tasks that we do. Um, and we usually don't really have any problems. It's pretty rare that we have any like scope blowouts or anything like that where we have to eat time. Fortunately, it's not really a cringe type of situation as you're joking about. Again, it all depends on the people that you work with and the company you work for. Um, I'm with a good team that's not unhinged. We really don't have any shitheads. I could not point to a shithead at my company. Everybody just works together really well, and there's really no bullshit. I think there may have been an asshole or two here or there, like in the just the lifetime of the company, but they're gone. I feel quite lucky. I feel quite lucky. I think that was one of the things I was the most afraid of when I was on the job hunt, because where I came from was fairly shit. But for not exactly those reasons, it was very different. And if you know, you know. But I just was like, I'm so afraid of ending up at a really shitty company and having a shitty boss, and just all the horror stories were in my head the whole time, you know? Ah, man, I should have stayed in school or whatever, Zick. The only thing that I kind of wish for is that I wish that I was working on meaningful things like that. I'm proud of the stuff that we do, but I mean, it's a really limited amount of proud. Not really doing anything mind blowing. I would really like to put my mind to something that I could be more proud of, but yeah, I mean, I like those as well. I'm proud of those. I feel like I made a lot of quick progress in terms of wrapping my head around game dev. And that's another thing I would love to do, but I just have never found any path in to being on a like game dev team. But to be honest, it all sounds that sounds like a really bad landscape in terms of work. I'm sure there's good ones, but the overall industry sounds like a just horrific nightmare shit show. So in some sense, I guess I probably dodged a bullet on that front. Um, it just didn't really go anywhere else. Azrael, I because I apparently wasn't satisfied with punishing the shit out of myself trying to make a visual novel. Somewhere during that, I got a wild hair about wanting to make this maze game. And I think it was because as we were making the visual novel, I got into this. I was learning a lot of shit about like Phaser and how I was structuring the project and getting getting more of a game dev mindset going, right? And then as it went, I was like, ah, God, I wish I would have done this differently and this differently and that differently. Because like now I know how I would approach XYZ. And that just sort of built up. And then I let it out on the maze game. And so that was it. Basically, I just made a whole other sort of stream uh, game theme, but then I didn't end up using it because we were still. I showed it off, but then we were still doing the visual novel. So I went back to the visual novel and just never went back to the maze. But I was pretty proud of that because I made, in a way that shouldn't probably have really been possible, and probably the hardest way possible, I made that sort of pseudo 3D maze. It's different every fucking time, and it barely worked. I was really proud of the mini map, and I was proud of the player behavior where I did a sort of, I forget which algorithm, what the name of the algorithm was. Monster, thank you for 71 months. It's the algorithm that does a full completion of a graph. It was not A star. It was basically, it was a maze finding. No, it wasn't A star because it wasn't pathfinding in that way. It was probably like a depth first search. No, because that also heads to a goal. It wasn't A star or B star. It's the one that walks an entire labyrinth. Hey, Linda. Thank you for the biddies. Connect all the games together. Well, yeah, I mean, yes. I'm trying to say I did a pathfinding thing that was expressly that, and I didn't have any sort of goal for it. It didn't have, it wasn't walking A to B. It wasn't going point to point. It was just visiting all cells that had not yet been visited. And that felt good. Not a particularly hard algorithm, but I had not implemented one before, and it was just cool to watch it go. That's the fun thing with each of the projects is that I leave the project feeling like, man, I know how I could do that so much better than I did it. That includes our recent observation duty clone as well. I just had a ton of ideas, and I mean that was a one pager, right? Like I could go fucking wacky with that idea. Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a nice feeling afterwards of like feeling like, okay, I've reached another plateau. Like I know what I could do now. I know I could do some things differently and better. Well, I mean, kind of the idea as I detailed for our observation duty game was that I was already headed down that road because all of the ideas that I didn't implement were wanting to essentially combine it in such a way that you transition from a spot the difference to a sort of cooperative point and click. In that I just didn't have time to do that. I keep kind of waffling on that idea because what I find is when I try to do stuff like that live, anything creative that I try to do live, I've experienced this with drawing and coding and music. Something about it uh, is difficult. It feels like having someone standing over your shoulder at all times. That's probably the best I can describe that. You know what I mean? That sort of halting feeling. Just imagine someone standing over your shoulder and watching you work. It kind of like stops you from being able to work, right? Or is that just a me thing? Okay, good. So I'm not saying it's something I don't want to do, but I feel so like inhibited by it when I try. I feel like it would be fun if I could get over that. The Heisenberg particle. It's not even about it not feeling good. It's just it's like I don't know how to share how it is. Like I want to just go away, do the thing, and then come back and show you what I did. That's my overwhelming feeling when that's happening. You know? Uh I feel like that's kind of reflective of how I've always kind of been regardless of streaming. It's like I like to go away and spend my little time drawing, and then I'll come back and I'll show you. But that like I don't like anybody to see me doing it. But I wouldn't be able to explain why. I don't know if it's like that I'm ashamed of the sort of middle part of it where it's kind of a mess or seeing the mistakes that I made or something like that. I don't know that that's what it is. Or it might be that it's just sort of like something that feels very personal, so it feels weird, like kind of vulnerable to have that process exposed, maybe. I don't know. But those are some possibilities. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. I used all my energy today. Yeah. Like, so today, there were two client emergencies that had to be done. Technically, I'm still working on one. The other was done. Like, just two of those, like, hi, sorry, we need this by the end of the week. Like, okay. All right. You realize that we have, like, a schedule, right, guys? And then that always fucks me up further because then my whole everything just gets shifted down the week and blah, blah, blah. I think it's just an inevitability. Well, like I said, food, I can't put my finger on it. I was musing about what it could be, but I don't feel able to explain it because I don't feel like I'm that ashamed of. Like I know that nobody makes things perfect when they make anything. I made a ton of things, so I know that, right? But you can know things and also still not be able to not feel the you know what I mean? Like you can't like logically overcome an emotion sometimes, or that sort of thing. can't talk yourself out of anxiety. Yeah, why would you? Are you trying to do a how we watch? How we watch this black rectangle? I want to see this, but more. Basically, it was a subconscious acknowledgement that looking at this black rectangle is better than looking at the Twitch mobile app interface. That's the truth here. I do wish I would have known about the how we watch. I've been like my nighttime headed to bed video stuff that I've been enjoying recently has been Tom's videos on YouTube. The whole fucking GTA 4 playthrough with the cars is, I feel like, infinitely watchable. But he is Tom's the real reason because like he's just such a wholesome and funny guy. If you don't know Tom Walker, he's been doing this absurd playthrough. I think an entire playthrough of GTA 4, but the cars are all like 999% speed. So the entire time he's playing GTA 4 relatively normally, there are cars that are flying around like missiles. And I would say most missions start with him getting immediately hit by a car. A lot of them are him having to carefully navigate from point to point and sneaking through alleys and stuff to try and avoid getting hit by these fucking cars. It's really quite good, and I would say infinitely watchable. And also, Tom's just a really great guy. So, highly recommended. Follow at that link that Pubs just shared. Thank you, Pubs. Go follow Tom. Tom's great. Tom's good people. Yeah, it is kind of a survival horror in a way. Yeah, I can't really either. He sort of streams at the exact same time as me, so I guess for some of you this is goodbye. Uh, as I gently guide you to a much funnier and better person once again. But yeah, but I think he has a. Does he only stream like? I think it's not every day. I don't remember what his schedule is. That's a great first stream. That's a really good first stream. That was the one where he unveiled his VTuber, right? Or I guess something else was unveiled then. Oh well. Nice punks. A list of cool people. Yeah, definitely watch that. No reason at all. No reason whatsoever. Uh God, I wish I had time for anything. I wish I had time for anything. My desire to make things has not gone down, but my output has dramatically. I just feel bad all the time. It is. That is quite a damn day. I'm glad you didn't get into a fight, I think. Maybe? Yeah, that's another thing about Tom is that Tom is a working comedian as well. Is the USPS over? Guess it could be. They were kind of working on that back during round one, weren't they? Because fucking somebody. Basically, they're like, hey, guy who has massive financial interest in UPS, you're in charge of the USPS now. It's not a conflict of interest. Yeah, I mean, they have been trying to kill the USPS for a long time, right? The long term thing was what was it? Some sort of bullshit with having to pay out something. Was it retirement, pensions? But they had to pay them, like they had to prepay them or something like that. But it was designed in such a way that it it was just designed to destroy the postal service. My whole perception on that stuff has been kind of rocked because I'm quite convinced now that those of us that know this stuff just kind of have been in this position of like slowly going insane. But the fact of the matter is like I think it it's useful to realize that people will not ever know these things. It doesn't matter how egregious it is. People at large will not know these things. That's just a fact. I think underscored by the example the other day of Google having that huge spike of people asking, "Did Biden drop out?" I think I think we have to get over the idea of trying to get everybody to know, and then everyone will wake up or something like that. It's not a thing that's going to happen. It just will never ever happen. And it sucks to have this stuff in your head and know that it's wrong. Anybody with any sense could look at the situation of like guy who wants the USPS dead being in charge of the USPS is a bad thing, right? Very obvious. That's you know, it's akin to fucking. I mean, it's not even a hard question. Children could understand that one, right? Should you keep a wolf with your herd of sheep? No, obviously. Um, and that's like just a ton of shit. That's like shit tons of stuff is like that. And I'm all about to get a lot more like that. Well, whichever it was, Abe. I mean, the point is that they did not know. They did not know an eminently very easy thing to know is the point. Um, in either case. So they're not going to know the hard things to know. The kind of position that I am in right now, my view of it all is that's basically the hard reset thing that I said. Um, I think the Dems are just too far right. No, it's not dumb. It's the trouble is like I mean, throw your minds back to 2016, right? There was a lot of people that made a lot of warnings, and there was a lot of pushback calling it all hyperbole. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And then the following 4 years occurred, right? And a lot of the things that people warned about did happen. And I don't know, like nobody reacts to me talking about or pointing out that JD Vance is a neo-reactionary because it's a reality too absurd to be believed, essentially. So if you want to talk about a possible dictatorship, a concern that I have in my head is um, the fact that JD Vance is in there and Trump is old. And JD Vance is neo-reactionary, and he's backed by Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel and JD Vance are both buds with Curtis Yarvin, who is otherwise known online as Mencius Moldbug. And he is a sort of wannabe philosopher that has a monarchist plan for the states. And when I say all that out loud, it sounds like an insane conspiracy theory. But the tech bros are really big onto that sort of neo-reactionary monarchist stuff. It's widely believed in the tech bro space, and those people have essentially infinite money. And there are and have been attempts in the direction of that stuff. There's a place in California right now where there's uh, a a worthless shithead who's never done anything of value in his life other than accidentally get a lot of money, who is buying farmland in this county and is basically just going to start a sort of crypto fiefdom in this county where there's a town already. And it's going to destroy the town. But like, I could talk about this shit forever and no one will give a fuck. It's real and it's happening. But basically the threat is if you you have to like spend a lot of time listening to a lot of shit and reading a lot of shit to give a fuck about anything I'm saying right now. But if Trump fucking dies and then we have this neo-reactionary guy as president who has said some fucking unhinged shit that people just are definitely forgetting about at this point. Um, it's anybody's guess. They have a pocket Supreme Court right now. They have the Senate. They're probably going to have the House. And in a lot of ways, they don't even really need the Senate or the House because they can just do executive orders and all kinds of other like kind of loophole shit. You got caught there by the auto mod, Maury. But I'll let that through. Um, one thing I will say on that front is that the reason that that happened is because they've been duped, and I don't want to blame them for being duped. And I think it's really possible to understand why that happened because I think that they don't think that it's going to happen to them, right?
Your camera?
No, no cam. I'm just sharing a beautiful black rectangle with everyone this evening.
Okay. That's cool. I'm not wearing pants.
Yeah, socially conservative. And, you know, the we're not going to get anywhere by blaming people at this point. And also, there's this misperception that there was like this giant rightward move. The only giant rightward move was by the Dems, actually. Trump didn't. It's not that he did better this time; he did worse. It's the Dems that fucking did awful. So that's what truly happened here.
I think also people are just misogynistic pricks. Because I feel like if a guy would have came out and been the Democratic nominee, I don't think there would have been nearly as much shit. Because, like, the policies weren't, like, amazing, but they were just, like, okay.
The policies are bad, but misogyny is indeed a factor.
Trump's are worse, though.
What's that now?
So Trump's are worse, though. And, like, so much worse.
The thing is, in my view, is that Dems have not been running on shit that people actually want. So people stayed home.
Yeah, well, I want reproductive rights. And apparently that's not enough to fucking vote for.
Well, those did well where they were, though, in the States. That's the interesting thing, is that abortion
Yeah,
did
but-
well, Harris did not.
Yeah, but then they elected the man that's trying to get Project 2025 going. And that is
This is
like
the
they
thing.
want to eliminate birth control.
This is the thing everybody's doing today, is trying to figure out who to blame. But overall, there was a lot less voting, particularly on the left side. And the thing
I
is,
get that. But
we
still.
voted against. But voting against is not motivating. It just isn't.
It's not, but also like you know what's at stake. Like everybody should know what's at
But
stake.
people don't, though. That's what I was just saying, is that people don't. For the most part, it's a real minority of people that actually have all this shit in their head. Most people are vibes based. There's a lot of people that think that Biden is responsible for the abortion bans because it happened during his term. You see, so like it's really hard to draw those conclusions about these sort of specific things. But I think that really the biggest thing to take away is that Dems basically since like post Obama have not run on what people fucking want. They just don't run on what people want. Universal health care, extremely popular. It was popular when Bernie was talking about it. Bernie was popular. But they don't run on that shit. Hillary didn't run on that shit. Biden, I personally think people voted for Biden because I mean it was crazy circumstances because of the pandemic and everything.
Ah, hi.
And I think maybe there was some Trump fatigue, but I think there may have also been a factor of like Obama too. Obama the sequel? Because Obama ran a super progressive
Yeah.
in words campaign.
Well,
His
yeah,
actual terms
he
were
went to
not.
do healthcare reform
They did try to do healthcare reform.
and then it fucking backfired.
In practice, it was not very progressive, and it involved disintegrating Americans with drones. But the campaign was progressive, which is the point. Like that's why
Yeah.
it was so popular and it moved people.
Yeah.
You know,
And now we have RFK in charge of the FDA.
we don't have a party that runs on what Americans actually want. If you look at what like when Americans are polled on these things, consistently they want this shit. Nobody runs on any of that shit.
Oh. Yeah. Shit is getting dark.
Yeah. And also, by the way, today has been a full day of libs going like hard right. It was like the news has been fucking crazy today because they're just like, what if it's because of all this leftist stuff? And that's like MSNBC, the leftmost news channel. So like, I think that says a lot. I think it really says a lot.
It's so good, just like worse. And now it's the whole like Democrats have to be more conservative.
Yeah, that's why I acknowledge I think misogyny was a factor. I don't think it was the leading factor, but I know that misogyny is a thing. You know?
Yeah, I think it's more than we'd ever know.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that if it was a man, they would have gotten elected.
It's possible. It's possible because Trump didn't really do well. He
No.
didn't do that well. Like if you look at that one map that just shows the arrows all pointing to the right, that is not an increase of people on the right. It's a decrease of people on the left voting, is what it is.
Yeah.
It looks horrific, right?
Yeah.
It looks like the whole country went to the right. But it was actually a void left. I don't know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because I think people are going to be fighting about that for a long time. And the only way through is that we have to acknowledge both the fact that misogyny was a problem, but so is
Oh, no,
the Democratic Party.
Yeah. I don't think anybody doesn't think that the Democratic Party sucks.
Not to mention racism as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Like one of the criticisms was that Kamala was too liberal. And that is straight up because she was a she and a person of color. Like, there's really like, how do you explain too liberal?
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, and Gaza has been a just nonstop nightmare, and the Dems. Oh boy. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah. Well, something that I said on this, if you want a little taste of of my blue sky experience today, I said that the right constantly describes the obviously center right and headed rightward Dems as far left because the true far left is the thing they fear the most. Meanwhile, libs and Dems today have been anonymously coming out of the woodwork. So this is people from the campaign and people from the White House anonymously saying that this is all the far left's fault, and that there's probably a reason that they share the same fear.
sorry. I just that popped up and I went to look at it, and then the top two words just fucking robbed me of speech.
Be careful trying to understand random things that appear on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I'm
It-
learning my lesson.
It is a brain hazard.
I still don't even know what it means.
She's looking at a skeet that says uncouth swamp ass, cultured gooch crucible. And
But-
that is a quote skeet of an image that looks like a shot glass. There's a line coming off of the shot glass that says gooch crucible, and then there's like at the bottom there's a thin layer of stuff. The first layer is labeled asbestos. The middle layer is labeled perforated plate, and then the bottom layer is labeled asbestos again. And I have guesses as to what is meant by this, but I also do not understand what I was looking at.
Also, I want,
Snack?
yeah.
Me
Well,
too.
I was gonna eat garlic bread, but
I've had a horrific day. Oh, garlic bread sounds amazing.
you want me to just make the rest of it?
And it's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
It's fucking Thursday. It's Thursday, girl.
You watch Bake Shop.
It's Thursday. We watched Bake Shop. That's not a show.
Sorry.
It's Thursday.
I don't.
What's Thursday? What's Thursday? What's Thursday, y'all?
I don't know either.
Shut up. It's Common Sense Thursday. Fucking Taskmaster.
Oh,
Jesus
I
Christ.
didn't even know.
What the fuck is wrong with y'all? I'm just kidding. I was being annoying on purpose. I'm sorry for the way that I am.
Well, now they know it's Taskmaster.
Yes, now they know.
Tuesday is also Taskmaster Day. I think Thursday's only Taskmaster Day for us.
I don't know why it's Thursday for us, but it is.
I'm gonna go and make us a pile of.
Oh, it's because robots.
Oh yeah.
We're getting it like
Wait.
raw, hot off of Greg's ass, but they're getting it on like YouTube, I guess, or whatever, wherever they get it. Yeah, the blaming the far left is that one should be a wild tell to everybody, right? I promise I'm gonna wind down.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say like I'll be back in like 5. So.
Okay,
Do you need milk from over there?
I do. I'm out over here. I'm out of cups over here even. That's a wild tell because there is no far left in the States. There's no far left that has any power. So it's just wild. Today was wild because if you've tuned into like Fox, MSNBC, CNN, basically any cable news channel, they were all talking about a far left that literally doesn't exist, other than fucking online. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope I'm not making anybody's evening worse by talking about this stuff. That's the main reason I usually try to shy away, but I mean, this is a special week. This is a week of catharsis and venting and coming together and solidarity wherever we can find it, etc. But I really do not want to expose anybody to this in a way that's ruining their evening or anything like that. That's always been the thing with me and why I've shied away, because it's like, I don't know. It's just tough. Tough, 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 tough. Yeah. Well, so the other thing is I'm always afraid that if I don't shy away, that I never will shy away. Guys, I keep getting radicalized. I thought this was supposed to be a one-time thing. It just keeps happening. Is it supposed to happen every day? Yeah. I guess to complete my thought about people not knowing things and never knowing things is I think personally that the only way to answer the vibes based voting bloc that is the United States is to come at them with an offer they can't refuse. We need a party that will actually fucking believe Americans, I guess, and have a progressive slate that has all the goodies on it. And you won't lose. You will not lose. I don't know why Dems love to lose, but I guess it's because they want to be Republicans, basically, is what they've been indicating. But a totally progressive slate would win. And it would, I think, be one of those historic landslide type situations like we used to see in this country, 50, 60 years ago. But of course, on the other hand, Reagan was also like a total fucking landslide. So, um, but that was basically the inflection point when Dems totally fucking lost the plot. Yeah, just offer the shit people say they want. Offer the shit people say they want. That doesn't sound hard. And then people who do know these things that are bad need to be in there and working against those things. That's, I think, the task set out before those of us who actually know things. And that's a tall fucking order. That's not easy. That's, I think, the hard part. The easy part is giving people what they want. People would choose that stuff over this shit. That's the thing is the stuff that he's offering would be drowned out by a real progressive platform. That's my point. People don't really want this. And a lot of the people don't actually believe, like what Mari was talking about earlier, a lot of the immigrants that voted in his direction, they don't want what he says, but they don't believe that he's going to do it. You have to understand that's the perspective. It's we have a tendency to assume everybody knows what we know, or everybody thinks the same way that we do. But they don't believe that he's going to do it, or certainly it won't be them. It's not me. I won't be the one. And there's other stuff that sounds good. Fix the economy, right? That was the number one exit poll thing, was the economy is bad. Yeah, I can link you this playlist. Here it is. Well, yeah. I mean, the right has been setting the narrative, and then the center right has been dancing to the tune. I've mixed my metaphors because I am shit. Dancing to the tune of the narrative. But that's what's been happening. That's been happening for a long time. Right? They are operating inside of a world created by Republicans, and only Republicans can exist inside of that world. The tune of the narrative is just an OST. Saved. Thank you for saving me, Dev. I mean, I kind of encountered this a lot because I mean, I said that one of the my lapse back into Reddit was to fight people on the Ohio subreddit, right? And the thing, when you get into arguments with these people online, I have to say the number one thing that you are confronted with is the fact that you cannot argue people out of their positions. It doesn't matter how correct you are. I mean, I've stopped. I stopped again. I'm back on my Reddit abstinence. Hopefully, never to return. But yeah, you can't argue people out of that stuff because, especially in this world of just people are not getting information from so few sources as they used to. 40 years ago, there were a couple of news channels and they weren't 24 hours a day. And then they became 24 hours a day. And then the web happened. And then podcasts happened. And Twitter. And people are getting information from all kinds of different places. You can really tailor your reality today to whatever you want. It's funny that some of us choose to craft a world that's entirely pleasing, and some of us, such as myself, choose the dark souls of news. I don't know why. I don't know why that happens, but that's what's happening. So you can't argue people out of that stuff because they have all the reason in the world to hold their position. You know? Facts have kind of been rendered meaningless with people. So it's probably not going to be helpful or do us much favors to focus on the fact. I mean, people are stupid. I'm happy to say it, but focusing on the fact that there's a lot of stupid people is not gonna. It's not gonna do much for you. Oh yeah, young people are fucked. They are absolutely fucked because they don't even have the memory of when shit was a bit more kind of coherent, you know? And even when shit was coherent, that doesn't mean there wasn't bias and fuckery, you know? But it's nothing like it is now. Nothing. So I think the thing to do is to focus on what would work and not worry about what we know doesn't work. Continuing to try the same thing over and over again is a lot of why we are here now. I don't know if I'd go that far, Punkster. I think that still exists. It's just for me personally, I'm not religious. So my personal belief is that comes from your family. And so it varies pretty wildly, but for the most part, that's where kids get their moral compass and their values from. It's hard to know that, I think. And also, there's still people that go to church. There's still people that are getting their moral compass from somewhere. But there is a lot more noise, I will say. I just don't think I don't think we can conclude that it's just completely rudderless now. It's just harder now. It's harder. It's easier to get exposed to insane shit. I mean, we know about pipelines. We know about like the alt-right pipeline, the manosphere pipeline, stuff like that, where you just get drug into insane shit. You know, like it's really fucking sad to know that lots and lots of young men, adolescent men, teens, make up the audience for somebody like Andrew Tate. That's fucking terrible. That's a fucking disaster. It's an emergency. That's an emergency. That the role model for lots of young men is a guy who doesn't advise them to improve themselves in a good way, but in the worst ways. I'm being yelled at. I think I need to wrap up. I can go on forever. What's that? All right, I'm getting off now. All right. Sorry. It just gets out of hand. It gets away from me. Thanks for popping in, y'all. Sorry for the late stream. I hope you guys have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully for a fucking normal stream. Until then, bye-bye.